Tonight, we turn our attention to Caracas, where Venezuela is denouncing what it calls a blatant violation of its sovereignty, the 8-hour boarding of a Venezuelan fishing boat by the United States Navy in Caribbean waters. The Maduro government says the incident, which unfolded northeast of La Blanquilla Island, involved 9 modest tuna fishermen aboard their vessel, the Carmen Rosa. At the center of the storm stands the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Jason Dunham, a heavily armed warship that Caracas accuses of harassment and intimidation. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Yván Gil took to national television inside the historic Casa Amarilla, or Yellow House, to present evidence and deliver a stinging rebuke. Holding up photographs of the humble Carmen Rosa, followed by images of the imposing USS Jason Dunham, he described the confrontation as both illegal and hostile. He then unveiled video allegedly recorded by the fishermen themselves, footage that Caracas insists proves U.S. aggression against an unarmed civilian vessel. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela denounces, Gil declared, that the Venezuelan ship Carmen Rosa, with 9 humble fishermen on board, was illegally and hostilely attacked by the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Jason Dunham, acronym DDG-109, equipped with powerful cruise missiles and commanded by highly trained Marines. His words carried an air of outrage, casting the encounter not as an isolated dispute, but as part of a broader campaign of provocation. According to Gil, those who gave the order for the boarding were seeking an incident that justifies an escalation of war in the Caribbean with the aim of provoking regime change. In other words, he framed the episode as a deliberate attempt to manufacture a crisis, one that could provide Washington with cover to increase pressure on Caracas. The foreign minister closed with a demand. The Venezuelan government calls on the United States to immediately cease these actions that endanger security and peace in the Caribbean. To Venezuelan officials, this was no misunderstanding at sea, no routine patrol. Instead, it was presented as evidence of an orchestrated strategy designed to weaken, humiliate, and ultimately topple the government in Caracas. By highlighting the modest identity of the Carmen Rosa's crew, 9 tuna fishermen, and contrasting it with the immense firepower of an American destroyer, the government sought to portray the incident as a David and Goliath struggle. But what really lies beneath this confrontation? For years, Washington has maintained a naval presence in the Caribbean under the pretext of counter-narcotics operations. Warships like the USS Jason Dunham are deployed with the stated mission of intercepting drug traffickers and securing shipping routes. The United States argues such operations are legal, necessary, and part of international efforts to curb the flow of narcotics. Caracas, however, interprets them very differently. For President Nicolás Maduro's administration, the sight of American warships prowling its maritime borders is nothing less than an existential threat, a show of force meant to intimidate and destabilize. Coupled with economic sanctions and political isolation, Venezuelan leaders view these encounters as yet another instrument in Washington's long-standing pursuit of regime change. International law provides no easy answers. The Venezuelan Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, extends 200 nautical miles from its coast, granting Caracas rights to explore and exploit resources. If the Carmen Rosa was, as officials claim, operating 48 miles northeast of La Blanquilla, then it was within Venezuelan jurisdiction. But the United States may argue that its patrols occur in international waters or that it was acting in the context of anti-drug enforcement. The clash, then, is not merely about geography, but about interpretation, power, and competing narratives. For analysts, this incident underscores the fragility of peace in the Caribbean. Even without gunfire, an 8-hour boarding of a civilian vessel by a military destroyer risks miscalculation, escalation, and tragedy. The image of a handful of fishermen facing down a ship bristling with missiles has already become a powerful symbol in Venezuelan state media, one designed to rally domestic support and cast the United States as aggressor. At the same time, Washington may dismiss Venezuela's denunciations as propaganda, a distraction from its own internal crises. American officials have often accused Caracas of exaggerating encounters at sea to whip up nationalism. Yet the optics remain dangerous. Each encounter between a small fishing vessel and a U.S. warship becomes not just a maritime dispute, but a geopolitical flashpoint where any wrong move could spiral into confrontation. What makes this episode particularly significant is the timing. The region has already been tense, with US sanctions squeezing Venezuela's economy and waves of migrants crossing borders in search of stability. Meanwhile, global powers such as Russia and China have strengthened ties with Caracas, eager to expand their influence in Washington's backyard. Against this backdrop, the boarding of the Carmen Rosa takes on dimensions far larger than the fate of 9 fishermen. It is a microcosm of the larger contest for power, sovereignty, and survival in the Western Hemisphere. For the Venezuelan government, the incident is also an opportunity to reaffirm its narrative of resistance. By linking the encounter to the United States' supposed failed regime change policy, officials in Caracas remind their citizens and the world of the adversarial relationship that has defined 2 decades of US-Venezuelan relations. The Foreign Ministry has hinted at bringing the matter before international bodies, possibly the United Nations, to seek condemnation and solidarity. Meanwhile, the United States has yet to provide a detailed public account of what transpired. Without clarity, the stage is set for a battle of stories. One of fishermen harassed by a destroyer, the other of routine naval patrols misrepresented for political gain. Both sides know the power of perception, and both are determined to shape it. For now, the Carmen Rosa has returned to Venezuelan shores, its crew hailed as reluctant protagonists in a geopolitical drama. Their experience, amplified through state media, has become more than a maritime inconvenience. It has become a symbol of sovereignty under siege. And as Caracas continues to denounce and Washington remains silent, the Caribbean finds itself once again on edge. This is not just about one fishing boat. It is about contested waters, rival narratives, and the delicate line between maritime security and maritime provocation. For Venezuela, the incident is proof of US hostility. For the United States, it may be nothing more than business as usual. Yet, in the narrow channels of the Caribbean, where warships and fishermen cross paths, even the smallest spark can ignite a fire that spreads far beyond the sea.
En 55 minutos de la tarde se encuentra en compañía del viceministro para el Caribe, Raúl Icaus, el viceministro para...
Una embarcación de pesca atunera venezolana, Carmen Rosa, esta que vemos acá, una embarcación palangrera o un destructor misilístico, este que vemos acá, el destructor misilístico Jason Dunham.
The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela denounces that this Friday, September 12th, the Venezuelan ship Carmen Rosa, with 9 modest tuna fishermen on board, which was sailing 48 nautical miles northeast of La Blanquilla Island in waters belonging to the Venezuelan exclusive economic zone, EEZ was illegally and hostilely attacked by a US Navy destroyer, the USS Jason Dunham, acronym DDG-109, equipped with powerful cruise missiles and maneuvered by highly qualified Marines trained.
De los Estados Unidos, el USS Jason Dunham, siglas DDG-109, equipado con potentes misiles de crucero y tripulado por marines altamente entrenados.
Those who give the order for these provocations are seeking to produce an incident that justifies an escalation of war in the Caribbean with the aim of provoking a change of regime.
En el Caribe, con el objeto de insistir en su política fracasada y Estados Unidos de cambio de régimen.
The Venezuelan government demands that the United States immediately cease these actions that endanger security and peace in the Caribbean.
Acciones que ponen en riesgo la seguridad y paz del Caribe.